Hello guys, it's me Fusion, and I never really thought I'd be making this video. The reason I'm making this video is simply because River won't let me speak, and if he tries to take down my video, well then we just know it's the truth more than ever. But I don't think he can even do that because his channel is quite dead, no offense. But the reason I have to make this is because look, I'm muted, promoting server hate, and the way this happened was because a player asked what was my experience as developer like on RiverNetwork, which I responded with the truth, and River did not like that. A quick thing I forgot to say is if you look at my portfolio type, just website that just explains a little bit of servers been staffed on and my experiences. I was a developer from 2021 to 2025, but was not always consistent. I left the team around 3 times due to problems with the owners. However, players kept wanting to be back, and it was my only income at the time, so I did what's best and made the players happy. Now I'll talk more about this in the video, obviously, because this video will have a lot of information of what it's like to be a developer for RiverNetwork, staff member of RiverNetwork, and also have some other people's point of views on the server when they were staff. Okay, I'm not saying this just to criticize or make anyone feel bad. It's just I've had enough of not being able to talk and have my voice silenced after I've done so much for the server, and I hope you enjoy. Let me first off start by saying I was a developer here. I first joined in 2021. I was a developer on Minecraft for around a year from then, and RiverNetwork was a Bedrock only server at the time. I worked along 2 people, Ninja and Electro, and probably other people that I missed. Oh, we had a guy called Nightmare. So I worked with them. I learned a bit about Bedrock Minecraft, and after that I got falsely accusated by Knight, one of the other owners on RiverNetwork at the time. He thought I was abusing, and I wasn't, but I got demoted even though it was a no. And even back then, players was loving me, alright? Like, they kept wanting me back, and that's when I realized I have a voice in this server. But after getting fired, I stepped away. I then helped my friend Ninja who on his own server, Turtle PE, and then after that Oceanic MC. So I had like a little bit of a gap. I then worked on my own server during that whole time. Obviously, I was a big fan of Minecraft and how servers work, how they look, but this was before hex colors really, so it didn't look the best. My server was in 1.12. And then after making servers for a little tiny bit, I got a bit more experience, came back to RiverNetwork, and only because it was a Java server now, which I have quite a lot of experience with. And so I came back as a developer, and it wasn't the worst, but it just lacked quite a lot of stuff. And also it had quite a lot of players at the time because River's channel wasn't so dead, but the performance was dying. So my first initiative was to clean up the performance, make it playable for players and feel good. River somehow managed to piss off quite a lot of stuff, so a lot of server got nuked before that. There was a lot of just slop done, and you know, I took it into account. Why not just make it how it should be in a way? So I first modified it a little bit, just tidied it up a little bit. I worked with a guy called Fusion. It's a bit confusing because I'm Fusion, and anyways, he was not a bad dev, but he kept adding some stuff that had a bit of lag, but it wasn't that bad. He later on resigned, which made my life easier, no offense. I could just do what I want, but I thought I'm gonna hire my friend who I've been making servers with for the last like 2 years. I was friends with this guy for quite some time. His name is Marcel, made servers, knew everything with him. We redesigned the entire RiverNetwork in around a week, ready for public, but we didn't get to test it yet, but nearly. Like, during that 1-2 weeks, we had River on our back saying, is it done, how close, this and that, trying to pressure us. And we was like, we need to take our time, you know, it's not going to be that fast. But we released the server not with a lot of features in mind, but a good base to build off of. The dev before us was Dollarmore at the time. He was a pretty good dev, and he comes back later in this story. So yeah, I'm there, cleaned up the server. Release was pretty good. It went pretty well. There was no lag really. Few bugs with permissions, but that's to be expected. I redid everything, redid the ranks, how nice they look, and the server was pretty good. Obviously I was gone for quite some time, but OG Play still knew me, and they was happy I'm back. I came back for a little bit, and then, you know, I had problems with the owners. All right, if you don't know about RiverNetwork, the ownership on this server is atrocious. We had a guy called Knight, no offense, he's one of my friends, but he stepped down now. He used to always he never used to play much, but he would always run the server how he thinks it should be run without having any actual play on the server or knowing how it performs or what the players want. So he would run stuff, try to run the staff team, overrule the managers who actually played, spend time looking into the server, and he would make my life a living hell. So bad that I resigned. And River doesn't know shit, all right? He doesn't know anything. He will let you do anything because he has no idea how stuff should work or what stuff should do. So So, you know, I had become essentially, when I was dev, an owner in a way. Night was gone. River knew nothing. I was in control in a way. I resigned for a little bit and I came back a bit later. After coming back a bit later, I realized the server's not in such a good state as it was when I left it. I decided, you know, I might as well try rebuild. No, it's life still at the time they wanted. And so I came back as dev alongside a guy called Alex. Alex was head dev at the time, who didn't do shit. I was doing all the work. He barely did shit. And, you know, it was so bad that I compared to River, I'm like, this guy's doing nothing and he's getting paid. And, you know, I'm doing all the work. He's just making my life a bit slower. No offense, but River ended up firing him, which, you know, he should have been fired long ago. But he fired him, but there was no bad energy. He literally did nothing at the time. So with him gone, I decided to make the Lifestyle server. And River loves pay to win. If you don't know, River loves pay to win. Now, also in Lifestyle, you got a little bit of pay to win aspects, right? But I don't like it when it's so bad that you can't have fun without paying to play. Now, the crates, this is just a new crate, but it's like double this page. We had so much stuff and it was diabolical. The one thing I never touch is crates because I don't get blamed for how the economy is played out and how pay to win is. Obviously, we do a lot of testing on stuff that's not the crates because River does the crates always last. And, you know, it's just when you see players having to spend money on crates just to have an experience, it makes you wonder, like, what is going on? All right. And so I leave it a little bit. There was 7 ranks on the server. 7 ranks. And I think it's quite crazy because there wasn't much difference between ranks. It was just a bit more money or more kits, or the price was insane, like hundreds, so much, a lot. So I decided I'm gonna redo everything. So this obviously a lot of time has passed. Obviously, I'm not remembering every single thing, right? But it was around 2 years ago now, I think about it. I come back and, a little bit before that for the Lifestyle, I hired my friend called Cherry. I say good friend, but Cherry was someone who I just spoke to quite a bit. They worked as developer for another server I knew about. And I was like, I can get you some money if you help me out with this server. They know how to code better than me at least. So I need some features made as well. Just make my life easier. Obviously, you can split the workload a bit. Now, at that time, I was thinking more of an owner than a developer. What do players want? How can I bring revenue to the server and enough that I can still get paid, the server can stay up? And then the Lifestyle server released. It was trying to combat a little bit of pay to win, but River obviously did the crates, so it was still quite a bit pay to win. But it was not as bad as the last Lifestyle season, which was insane. Okay, and then some time goes and then he wanted survival again. So Cherry hated me for this, by the way. I said, I'm going to redesign the entire server from scratch again using a new course, which is not the normal one people use. So I had to redo the whole rank system, all the ranks, all the permissions. I had to get some kits plugin made, all that stuff. So I gave her a few tasks. I said, just work on these 2 plugins for me because that's what you're good at. Do whatever you want with them. Make them look as good as you want. Or check them out. Make sure they look good to players. I didn't want to stop her creative freedom. I want her to be able to do what she wants. As long as she agreed on it, obviously. I wouldn't mind doing some stuff myself. But in the background, I set up the entire server core, other plugins, the spawn, protection, all that stuff. But there were 7 ranks and I'm like, that is a huge mess. And it's not worth the money. Honestly, definitely not worth the money. And I hate how pay to win the server was. So I condensed those 7 ranks only to 4 ranks. Now, players were unhappy a bit because they might have paid a bit more for ranks or a bit less for ranks. But it's what the server needed for the future, because if anyone wanted to buy ranks, they would have 7 ranks to pick from, none with actually good differences, and the price was too high. So I lowered the prices, cut the ranks, and we had 4 ranks with pretty decent price points. Lowered the crate keys as well, create crate bundles, and stuff worth the money instead of paying each key an abysmal price for each one. So I did that, and pretty much first season back, well, I renamed the season 1 because I redid everything. It went pretty well. There was quite a few bugs, but that's because I had to redo everything. So, but after that, it was fine. River, very happy. He's getting sales, people enjoying it, and it's just been smooth. There's no major problems, crashes, nothing, none of the sort. Then around, I'll say a season after that, we had a guy who got promoted to manager called Prophecy. Prophecy's quite a bit older than us. He has good judgment. He's been staff in bigger servers. And he liked how I was thinking, how I don't really like pay to win. River, the way the staff team is ran, the way Night treats people, the way River treats people. So Prophecy and me, we did everything we could to make the server in a good state. Now, the thing is with the server is River would never, he would just do whatever you say. okay, right, which is a good thing, right? But then we had Knight who would just come back and he would ruin everything, every good thing you put. He would say, no, don't do this, don't do that, you don't have permission to do this, you can't do that. But he'd been gone for like months, just randomly comes back and then causes problems. That pissed me off a lot. So bad that we had many arguments in the staff channel. And it was so bad that Knight didn't really like how Prophecy was trying to run stuff. But I agreed with Prophecy 100%. It got so bad that Knight had to fire Prophecy because Knight couldn't accept that he was in the wrong and that the server is being run like shit. I'm still head developer, and you know, I'm just like, what the hell? And I don't really give a fuck because I am the person who pretty much made the server how the server is. Players know me. OG players know me. New players know me. I was there for the players, pushing out updates, bug fixes, changes. Along with Cherry, obviously. Cherry played a big hand, but all those years, you know, I've been there pushing fixes. River had another server that was Skyblock, Rain MC. It was going okayish until River told, I don't know if I have this one correct, I'll get him in on this later, though he'll be in this video. River told the developer Dollamore that if he doesn't make like $500, if I'm not wrong, that he won't be getting paid or something like that. I'll double check later, you'll see. And you know, and he said no. River tried firing him pretty much. So he took his plugins and went. River did not like that. Then the server got nuked, the whole pay your devs movement, because River was not paying his devs. And I said to River, you better not do that to me. He said he won't. After Dollamore got fired, he hired the manager Hero Brian to install a setup on his server, the Skyblock server. The setup was so horrible and disgusting. It was just bad. And then Cherry was hired to help out with that as well. That was not, it was okay. And then Hero, how to explain? The server ended up getting nuked in the whole pay your devs movement because River didn't want to pay his devs. That's not the first time you'll be hearing that, really. So after that all happening, Hero crashed out because I just watched him nuke it. I wasn't going to step in because it was a setup. I hate servers that use setup because you don't put any work into it. If you're a developer, you want to put your work, you want to do what it is for the players, not just buy something that's a setup, has everything completely done. Find a config that looks nice or has some features which would take quite some time to implement. That's not that bad, all right? Because you're still doing majority of all the other stuff yourself. You're going to at least tweak the configs, edit them to how you want them to be. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just everything's done instantly, the whole server. You just put it up. And, you know, it got nuked. Hero got mad at me because I just let them nuke it. I didn't really care. Hero crashed out. He ended up resigning at some point. Cherry had to make a whole season. She did it pretty well. River's pay was arse. So, and the way he treated her, she didn't really want to be dev anymore. So I got her to step down from Skyblock, just focus SMP with me. And you know, Skyblock has been closed down ever since. Survival was going alright. It was going okay. We had Hero trying to come back and nuke the server because we had a permissions rollback, and you know, he tried to nuke the server. It didn't go. It didn't work. I caught him within like 20 seconds. And you know, that was okay. That was all done. So, and that's the first time my manager has abused. We had a guy called Prompt. Now, Prompt or Promptula, who's now one of my best friends, but at the time, I just came back to RiverNetwork, and you know, he was a moderator at the time. He used to be manager quite a long time ago, but he stepped down. And I was developer, and it was around New Year's at the time, or Christmas time, and we did the dragon fight in the end. Now there's this guy called Historical who decided to steal the egg from Prompt, trade it to an alt person, try hide it under a base and try to get away and lie it's not him. I hunted his ass down and found all the proof that it was him, and I instantly demoted his ass. He was manager. He was higher than me, but I still got rid of that guy because I care about what the players, you know, what happens to the players. Abusing is one of the things I hate the most because as a player, you trust the staff not to abuse. So I fired him. He hated me and he made his own server. That didn't go so well. And you know, me and Prompt became friends again a bit. He later then was hired again as staff manager, and that's because Hero was gone. There's another staff manager at the time. I think it was Niffin or something. Niffin just always lacked. He never really done much. And so I got them to hire Prompt back. Prompt was pretty good. Some stuff went down. Prompt can explain that in a bit. And then I was doing my best. Okay. Prompt had other stuff to focus on, so he ended up resigning a little bit later. And you know, stuff went well. And then Prophecy was promoted to manager, and the whole night situation blew up in the staff chat. Everyone was on my side, right? Every single staff was agreeing with me and Prophecy, but Knight would not listen. Knight just kept threatening people. River just kept saying, just listen to Knight or stuff like that. We had managers that I will get in a little bit later, ask them to experience on RiverNetwork. People just started abusing at that point, and you know, it became a whole mess. River was only able to pay me for another season. A little bit after that, he let me know beforehand that it'd be my last pay. I said sure. So all right. So then after he couldn't pay me anymore, I did my leaving message. After being there for quite some time, I resigned. Cherry had to resign too. And yeah, thought we moved on a little bit until I was hired again. Knight was the one paying at that time. Now, Knight said he would pay him for this month, etc., etc. When it came time to pay, Knight said he didn't have the money because he spent it on a holiday. And now, you know how bad that sounds. You've just made the entire server for them. What do you mean you just pay for an entire holiday and you can't pay your staff? Knight says that he'll pay him at a certain time, like next month, double the amount. Then he doesn't. He said, oh, I'll pay you soon. And so he doesn't have money. And it became a whole mess. A lot of stuff happened. We had a guy called Leo at the time. He was also dev alongside him, alongside Dollamore. Leo was a good dev, but he was very like 1.8 looking stuff because he mainly focused on Bedrock related stuff. But after that, Dollamore just gave up. He didn't do any updates, couldn't, because he was not getting paid. Dollamore ended up resigning. Leo stayed as dev. And also I said to Leo, with how Knight is, you don't want to be staffed there. He's like, Knight's not been that bad yet. So I said, okay, just watch out. Around a week later, he messaged me, I see what you meant by Knight. He's causing so many problems. I don't want to be staff here anymore. And then a little bit after that, he resigned himself. Now, no one really wanted to be dev anymore, but Alex took the chance because he wanted some quick money. Alex became dev again. That season was horrible, no offense. And he didn't really put much work into it because, you know, he didn't really care so much, to be honest. He then ended up getting fired again. River hired some like free devs or like cheap devs. I don't know where he found them, to be honest. And then he also hired a guy called Zero, which is why I am now silenced in the chat. Zero is a guy who has no idea what he is doing. Might be one of the worst server devs I've met in my life. No offense. This guy kept asking me how to do basic stuff, how to do stuff. He kept begging me for my plugins I created and I used. And all the changes he would do was just horrible, like more bad than good, to be honest. And then, you know, I asked this guy, what are you doing? He wanted to become a built by bit dev, right, where my voting plugin is. And he couldn't make anything for himself. So lo and behold, of course, he still have contacts with RiverNetwork and that. Still talk to some people. Wanted to know how the new season's gonna look. He said screenshots and he said that's for a setup. He says, oh no, it's not a setup. And well, obviously it was a setup. This server is set up because he brought us up for another guy's server called Pyro. And that ended up getting backdoored and nuked. RiverNetwork also, when Zero was dev, had a virus. How come they had a virus? Because Zero is installing cracked plugins and setups from a Discord server, and the proof will be on the screen. We asked him about it and he says yeah, and he said it's probably how the server got backdoored. Now, one thing I hate more than setups is stealing. People put the time and effort into it, right, and they should get paid for their work. So Zero's stealing setups over his subs. I'm gonna call him out for it. So I called him out and River got mad. So mad, he muted me permanently in the chat. And then I explained to him and demonstrated to him, he muted me again, which comes to when I got asked about the server and people said, believe me, is it a setup? And so I showed a guy called Joey Proof, he's probably paid one of the most amount on the server back in the day. And it just came to the point, River had to cover his tracks because he didn't like the look I was giving the server. People trust me a lot. I was here from the start. I did everything pretty much. So River had to silence me and now I'm permanently muted. And so I'm making this video. And I thought River was more mature, but he blocked me after saying I'm not becoming a dev again. You know, like, just because you're not getting my way with me, don't mean you have to block me. And this is very common. River doesn't really care about the staff. He doesn't care about the server. All he cares is that it makes money, right? In a way. But he doesn't care that it's not fun for normal players. He just wants the monies and the monies. He will just use you till he's able to get money, all right? Like, he has no clue what he's doing. And I hate having to make videos like this. But now I'll go over to the people, ask them about their experience on RiverNetwork and what they was like. Because you've only heard my part. I'll let other people explain their part. All right. Right. As I put this image up on screen, this was from Prompt and it reads, in mid 2023, I got fired when I was manager at the time. Could be staff manager or head manager, although I don't remember. The reason I got fired, I'll get to that. So first, RiverNetwork at the time offered paid partnerships where they send a message of a partner's choice, advertising their Discord server, and this partner opened a ticket stating that their partnership message did not have the updated Discord link. I pinged River and Knight in the ticket for them to send a message. I wasn't able to send a message because I believe they had a filter or something of the sort, and the owners were exempt. So RiverNetwork used to have a massive filters, like 5 Discord bots, different filtering, Discord built-in filtering with filtered links and censored words. It was a whole mess. All right. Anyways, continue with that. And Knight simply responded by saying he was busy. The funny thing here is that the process was simply a copy and paste. Everything could have ended like that. just sent the message. I get mad at Night in the ticket telling him it was a simple process. Even instead of replying saying he's busy, he could have skipped the whole thing and literally could have just copy and pasted. This went back and forth for about a day or two. I'm not really sure. There was a partner literally waiting days for someone to send their message. No one sent it, so essentially this is a scam. Keep in mind, while this was all happening, I'm at my real job. I got fired from RiverNetwork a few hours later and blacklisted. River doesn't give any worth to his staff members nor the other owner that used to work there Night. Night didn't get any pay or cut at all and has admitted multiple times, even though he spent thousands on the server. When I got fired, I'm not mistaken. A few staff members did resign, can't be 100% sure, so don't take my word on it. Even the partners themselves laughed at the situation because how stupid it is. Now I currently manage a different server which actually values me and my time, and I get paid for it. Yes, the place feels like a family, unlike the other server. And I put a screenshot of Night blacklisting him. Well, River blacklisting him. Now I want to get into the fact that Night has never been such a bad guy. Yes, he caused so much problems, but he ended up knowing that. He stepped back. And River, River never valued Night. He never gave him a single cut of the server, not even a little bit. Night spent money on the server, a lot of money, and he hired me. He used to pay for me. River never used to pay for quite some time until Night literally couldn't anymore. And I feel bad for the guy in a way. And it's just, how River treats people, it's insane. I even said to River how he should be paying Night a bit, and he's like, no, if he wants to get paid, then he should agree to from the start, and he can resign. He doesn't need to be paid. If he doesn't want to work here, then he can resign. But obviously Night was too involved in the community because he was here from the beginning and he just wanted to be a part of it. He did end up leaving, and I put his leave message on the screen. You guys can read it. And that's just from one manager. Let's see if I can talk to any other people. Here I'll be showing you a statement from an old manager of RiverNetwork. He was there for quite some time, and it really shows you how his server is. Yeah, so I was manager at RiverNetwork, and I'll talk about how River and Night were treating us and how I felt since joining the staff team. When I first joined River SMP team, I thought that the owners are great, kind, and maybe funny. Then I met some friends who were also part of the staff team. We became friends kind of fast, and after learning to know each other more, River, Night, Prophecy, and Daisy got into beef, if I remember correctly. And that's when I saw how rude and how far these owners could go. That's basically when it started with me. I always was on Daisy's and Prophecy's side, because they're right. We calmed down with those beefs, and then again the owner started it. Some may know Prophecy, an ex-manager from River, which was trying to help the server grow and teach owners how to really be a leader of the server. They got mad, yeah, because Prophecy was trying to help them, and they kicked him off the staff team, and that's when a lot of the staff team also left, because he taught them how to do things right, unlike River and Night, which just wanted money. Not Night never got money, but he wanted power. Okay, and that's all they care about. And then I become a manager, and everything went right until Night had a power trip Sunday and took most of the perms from the staff roles after he came back like a month after being offline. Apparently because safety. Then he randomly started making things up about me leaking staff related things, that's also when I met Dollar, a dev on River. There was a moment when Night was paying Dollar for his dev work. He got paid a month and a half later, apparently because Night didn't have the money to pay him. Meanwhile, he had trips booked to Las Vegas and New York. That's when I left the server forever. The pay to win part is mainly the thing I got pissed about. River wanted his server to grow, but does nothing about it. He has a channel where he posts guess which types of videos, only about his monthly crates being released, and that's it. He doesn't care about the community, just money. Another statement from an old developer of mainly Rainer and a bit on the survival, from a guy called Devil. He's well known, especially Rainer. He helped Dollar out quite a bit, and he said this. I asked him just about his experience of RiverNetwork and what I've been speaking about. He said, when you was a developer, things actually ran well. Stuff got done on time, the server stayed stable and in a good place overall. When I was developer, him obviously, it was a completely different experience. River constantly put his own priorities above everyone else's time and well-being. It never really felt like he understood or cared that we all have lives outside of this. The expectation was basically to always be available no matter what. Now I agree on that. River would message me stories at 6 o'clock in the morning on a school day, telling me to do something and spamming me in DMs. it was a lot of pressure. All right. There's also a pretty obvious pattern with developers not sticking around. The turnover alone says a lot about how things are being managed. From what I've seen, River also struggles to keep a solid community together. Everything feels forced, like people are expected to treat it as a job instead of something that they actually enjoy being part of. Even with a large following, encouragement does not match up. It also feels like the community is treated more like a source of money than something to build and grow long term. On top of that, the hiring process is rough. People get brought on without experience needed, which slows everything down and affects the quality of work even worse. There's been multiple cases where people did work and weren't paid like they was promised, and then they're still expected to keep working, which obviously causes frustration. And finally, there are some serious concerns about bringing in minors, paying them very little and presenting it like a real job when it doesn't really offer any long-term value or legitimate experience. Pretty well said. And now I hope, all of these things I'm trying to show you from different people who I've worked with, who's been, deeper part of the server that you guys don't see, right? Because when stuff went bad, River and Knight would always clear the general chat or get mad at us for trying to say stuff. But then it's the ones that were actually part of the staff team that actually sees how stuff goes. And, I'm surprised I didn't come out about this longer. All right. I should have, but, I just kind of wanted to sweep it all under the rug, move on with RiverNetwork. Until I joined the server and some guy asked just, what's it like? And I'm not gonna lie. I've got no reason to lie. The server's gone downhill. They use setup, stolen stuff. There's a lot of other personal stuff I could say about people, but I don't want to say personal stuff because that's for them to say. But this is just from a standpoint of me who's been part of the team, not my personal friend related stuff. I'm gonna have Dollar in a second, who was staff as well. He will talk about Rain MC, about River, and how stuff went. All right, so let's go to that real quick. I had to go reply from another person who was actually a builder on the server / events lead. And it says, during my time being staff, builder, events lead at RiverNetwork, I noticed a lack of dedication to the server by the owners. That action was driven mainly by what made them the most income. They seemed to care little about the actual well-being of the server. Often the staff team were left on to actually manage the server, and it led to staff not knowing what to do and made the team chaotic overall. Yeah, there's a pattern in these statements you can see, and I didn't tell them to say anything. I just said explain what it was like at RiverNetwork, like what it felt like to get treated, and they're all saying the same stuff. So I hope you understand. It is actually now the next day for me. I had to take a break whilst I got more people's information about their experience on the server, and I received 2 500-word paragraphs, one from the dev Leo and one from the ex-co-owner Prophecy, which I will be reading out in a second. But I've also found out that during my time when I was not dev again, the manager that I abused before, Hero or Bomber Builder, actually was giving people stuff that you could not get legitimately if they paid more money on the store. Now that is crazy. I mean, I always hate pay to win, but to actually give people stuff that you can't get normally just because you're paying more stuff and it's different if it's in the crate, yeah, because that's mainly what it's doing, but for managers to be in on it as well, and it's just insane. All right, obviously once I was dev again, I tried to combat that a little bit, but managers, they still have all the perms in a way, so they could do whatever they want, and I've caught quite a few people abusing it in their times and demoted them, so it's all right. Anyways, let me go and get into this paragraph from Leo first of all, and I put some images on the screen of the DMs and that the images he showed me, and I will start to read. It reads, hi, so I worked as a dev for RiverNet across both their Skyblock and Survival servers. I chose to work for free just to get some experience, but my time there was a nightmare of toxic owners. I originally started on Skyblock working for free under a goated manager and head developer named Dollar. Dollar was like the only one who showed any appreciation for my work, while the owner, riverrain, never said a word. When Dollar quit, River expected me to single-handedly build a full new season of Skyblock in just 2 weeks. It's there again, 2 weeks or a week. He doesn't give you time. It's very stressful. Okay, it was a near impossible deadline with zero support, so I had to quit, and that server eventually shut down. Over a year later, I saw the SMP server dying. I offered to come back as a dev again for free. The easiest way to convince River. Just to build my experience a bit, and because I had nothing to do. I was pushing massive custom-made updates daily. I legit stabilized their player base and generated a lot of profit for them, something they love. Because of that, they made me an official dev. I was a part-time dev before that. The other staff like Hyper and Croxy were supportive and appreciative, but riverrain only cared about the money. He only ever assigned me to tasks to add more pay-to-win mechanics and items. Later on, I had to step back slightly for personal reasons, mainly because I was sick, which I communicated clearly. I was still fixing critical server bugs, many caused by former developers, and dropping updates, just not frequently. When it was time for a new season, I offered to build from scratch and make it actually good. River denied it, opting to reuse old backups and lazy pre-bought setup. When they started bragging to the new players about basic stuff like custom escape menus, I made a few jokes about it. Yeah, so they really like to use old backups and stuff that I made from seasons I made, all the stuff I made. I don't know why. Maybe I was just that good. I'm just glazing myself maybe, but yeah, you see it a lot. You know, to the players, they don't really realize, but all River wants is just copy and paste slot. All right, nothing new, nothing fresh, nothing good for the players. He once tried to pay me just to change the spawn for a season and add nothing. You know, it's insane. That triggered both riverrain and the other owner, Real Knight. Real Knight was already incredibly power hungry, as many know. He was constantly ignores the managers, rejects their opinions, and acted tough, all until the managers and devs quit out of frustration. I was the only dev left again. You know, Knight's made me leave like 3 times, but it's okay. River promoted me to head developer, and I even helped him interview and hire new devs who were getting paid $50 to do the bare minimum of what I was doing for free. I'm not complaining though, as I offered to work for free, but the worst part is, in the end, they fired me because I was supposedly inactive. Even though I explicitly told them I had personal issues going on, I was still fixing their network. They basically used that along with me making a joke recommending a tough song called Let the World Burn for their new trailer as an excuse to get rid of me. I don't know why. They weren't even losing anything from me being there. They happily took my free labor, stabilized their network off my back, and silenced me the second I didn't agree with their lazy directions. I wouldn't recommend anyone working for them. Even when you work for free, he will treat you like dirt. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. Alright, I used to be a dev for free. Many will know. And then after River and Knight being so well, not Knight, but River being so money hungry, Knight giving me problems, I pretty much said I'm not going to be dev again unless I get paid, you know, because I'm making you lots of money and, you know, I deserve a part of money. Not a lot, but I still want to get paid for my hours, you know, I'm putting in. It's my only income at the time. Alright, so that was Leo's statement. I'll put the screenshots on screen of the firing. Now my next statement is from the co-owner Prophecy, who I've mentioned a few times already. Prophecy was a wise man, I'd say. He's RiverNetwork. When me and him and Cherry, when we made a season together, Prophecy would, obviously, he was a manager, so he would help us with ideas like what players would want more, because he played quite a bit. So he actually was involved in the community a lot, helped out, staff team, all that. He was one of the best people we've ever had, and I've been there for many years, and they fired him because they couldn't accept the truth. So anyways, I'll read his statement now. Alright, I'm going to keep this real and straight to the point. This is my experience as co-owner of RiverNetwork and why I left. When I first joined, everything was good. I put in real effort to help the server grow. Over time, though, the owners became inactive, and I ended up doing most of the work myself. I rebuilt the staff team, organized everything, and pushed updates together with the development team to actually improve the server and the community. I made sure everything was transparent. I spoke with the whole staff team before making changes, and we made decisions together. But the problem was the owners didn't care. They ignored discussions, overruled decisions for no reason, and acted like they always knew better, even when they weren't involved. One of the main owners, Knight, was barely active, and the only time you'd ever see him was for random things, not actual server management. Then things got serious. I got falsely accused of harassing an underage staff member, which is completely untrue. That's a serious accusation, and it was made up to put me in a bad position. I always supported that person and made sure they was included and gave them opportunities. Yeah, that was one of the big turning points. Knight was accusing him of, you know, harassing a staff member who's underage. He didn't even do anything. Knight was not even there. Knight was gone. He just came back and then started accusing him of stuff. And obviously, players wouldn't know that because it all happens in staff channels, not even normal players, because we had an admin channel above, which we mainly spoke in. So yeah, it's like a hierarchy of stuff. If you're staff, you'll see some stuff, but if you're like manager or admin above, you'll see like the deeps of the server, and that's where that chat got crazy in that admin channel. All right. On top of that, I was accused of trying to take over the server. That made no sense. I always respected the work people put into the server, especially developers who spent hours building everything, often for way less than they deserve. My goal was to improve things, not take anything from anyone. Despite everything I did, I got demoted from co-owner to admin without any valid reason. After that, I left out of pure disrespect. Now let's talk about the real problem behind the scenes. The server was heavily paid to win, even going beyond what was allowed under the EULA. EULA, if you don't know, it's a guideline for Minecraft with like the rules and stuff you cannot and can't do. I warned about this multiple times and tried to make things more fair by lowering the prices and reducing the advantages paid players had. Those changes were ignored. Developers were being underpaid, working long hours without proper agreements. At the same time, the owner claimed there was no money, was spending things on other things that had nothing to do with the server instead of investing back into it. I didn't include this earlier, I was supposed to get paid for my work by Knight. Now Knight is saying to me he does not have the money at the time. He spent on other things. I said, I don't make this difficult. I just want my money because I spent my hours there and you promised me it. So either ways, you're going to pay me the money or you find a way to go half with River. River said that if he pays me the half, Knight will get fired. Now Knight decided to agree on that in a way, but then as soon as River unadded him and demoted him, he paid me back because he wanted that power again. He wanted to feel that power, you know. Knight ended up paying me for that month. And you know, after that, I was like, yeah, I'm done. So I left. Now, obviously, all the stuff I've been saying in this video, it's over many years, all right? And recently, it's not fresh in my brain, but so I'm trying to recall it as I'm speaking about it. So my bad if, you know, I've said some of the same things twice, okay? Anyways, continuing with prophecy's statement, that's not how you run a project. That's not how you run a business. On top of that, the leadership was completely disorganized. No structure, no consistency, and no accountability, just ego. Staff feedback was ignored constantly, even when multiple people said the same thing. And every time I spoke up about it, it got dismissed. Meanwhile, the server kept declining. Let me make one thing clear. I never tried to take over anything. I was there to help build something better for the community and for the team. But in the end, I'm not going to stay somewhere where there are false accusations, mismanagement, and no respect for the people doing the work. People deserve to know what's really going on behind the scenes, and that's why I'm speaking up. There's a lot more I could say. I'm not going to, as I don't want to harm their reputation even more, but this is already enough to understand the situation. And Daisy, you're doing a great job making this video. You're stepping out for what's happened, and that is good. W statement from Prophecy. And now we have a statement from an old manager, or an ex-manager, who was a part of the server for quite some time. He was involved in the community. He helped me with making some stuff on the server and, you know, the economy. And basically it reads, so basically 2 years ago, I started staffing for River and Knight. I staffed for 2 years straight, but never treated right, let's say. And I never fucked up or anything, but I never got the right treatment. And River always tried to get something for free or cheap. Yes, he did pay me, but it was always cheap stuff because he claimed that he didn't have enough money or something other than that. For the first 5 months of me staffing, I never saw Knight, so I didn't know how corrupt he was. One day, our Sir Admin and the current manager, aka Killer, at that time, was lying about his sickness and staying as manager and didn't let me get manager for at least a month. And after that, I got him fired because of his lies. After that, Knight DM'd me, you are my manager now. That time, I was very happy. I thought it'd be the best times of my Minecraft staffing experience, but shit, not even close. That guy made my manager experience 100 times shittier. Every time we did something good, he always returns, adds some shit and removes our stuff, logs into the game, adds bad looking holograms, ruined devs experiences, very biased promotions. It took me 2 to 3 months for admin, but it took random owners' friends to get admin in 1 week. They always bias people that give them payments and that they're money hungry. And now River only DMs me when he needs me deving, and he offers me like $10 to $30 for something crazy, and he thinks it's the right price. He and his beloved friend Knight ruins the server and makes everything pay to win. There was one season I was able to take over the deving and removed half of the pay to win and made the server more accessible for free to play players. But after I resigned, they re-changed everything. Overall, from my experience, it wasn't that great. I wish I could get my years back. Sometimes Knight DMs me random shit without any proof and tries to get an explanation from me. And after I give him a good explanation, he ghosted me. So yeah, Knight will DM you, accusing you of something with no proof, and when you tell him the truth, he won't believe you, and you know, then he'll try firing you for it. And last but not least, we have Dollamore, and he says, my time at River. I was a paid dev for River 5 times for Skyblock from 2023 of December to September 2024, November 2024 to January 2025, SMP in April 2024 to May 2024, September 2025 to November 2025. I first resigned from River SMP in May 2024 for being bombarded by Knight for not setting up the end event that I didn't get told to make before we made the season. When across the network, I got messaged a day or two before the release as this big feature that would ruin the already well-made economy and will make players unhappy with the outcome. For Skyblock, I had over a year put into this thing for River to say if we don't reach X amount of sales, he's going to fire me and hire Hero for the second time after complaining about Hero's Skyblock season. In that season in which I did unpaid work because it had so many bugs and missing features. But when River gave me the reach X sales or be fired, I told him I'll leave and take all the pay stuff I personally paid for and allow him to let Hero get a head start. But he was unhappy with this outcome and he kept saying if we reach X amount he will pay me more, and then it kept getting higher and higher. So I left and removed all I own. Some of the other plugins on the server I took a pay cut to get because River wouldn't pay for the full things. Even though earning over 500 a month and my pay costing less than 100 some months, River was the only there to make videos of stuff that didn't show off the full features. I used to get calls from River at 5 AM even after telling him about the time zone differences, and he would ask me to add this or change that then. During my time in Skyblock, I had to get Knight fired because he was the worst manager ever. He would stop people from being able to do stuff and he would hold the server back. Then once he left, he would ask to come back so many times, in which I said no, unless he learns how the server works and gets playtime. And he wasn't happy, and I said I'm the owner of the network, shouldn't even have to ask. But once Knight left, the server went up, and that is from Dolom. And that's all I have for today, and I hope you guys actually enjoy. I never thought I'd actually have to make this video. It's been many years at RiverNetwork, and you see quite a lot of stuff happen, and I don't believe I've got everything in order. There's a lot of missing details probably, so if people want to leave comments down below and correct me on that, I'd appreciate it. But a lot of stuff has happened and I've tried to tell it as best as I could. And I've got the people on their own information that they've experienced, and there's a lot more people I could go to, honestly, but I don't want to make a video longer than this. It's already been nearly an hour, and you know, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want me to make more stuff like this, then you know, leave a like. But hopefully I don't have to make anything like this again. Honestly, working at RiverNetwork was one of the worst experiences I've ever had, and I don't think I would ever go back there, even if I was offered, and I've already declined it twice, which got me blocked by River. All right, anyways, that's all for me, and I hope you